All right, Soul Lounge Experience, Soul Lounge Primetime, rather.
Yes. So, Night Watchman, I know that we have a mover and shaker in the greater Harlem community. Who's that, man?
We've got Clayton Banks, the founder and CEO of Silicon Harlem. Clayton, how are you today?
I'm great. It's great to be on this unbelievable, remarkable, and headlining show. It's an honor of mine to be actually on this wonderful show, so I appreciate it.
It's long overdue. We've had your partner, Bruce Lincoln, on, but we wanted to get you on and celebrate the milestone that you've reached. It's time for the 5th annual Silicon Harlem Conference. So congratulations on the 5th birthday. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that the theme of it is rethink everything.
Watchman.
It is, and thank you for acknowledging it being our 5th annual, because there's something that feels special about the number 5, and we're very proud that we've been able to keep a conference in Upper Manhattan, literally in Harlem, which there's no other comprehensive technology conference happening in uptown. So we're very proud that we've been able to bring that every year for the last 5 years.
Mr. Banks, if I may inquire, Silicon Harlem, for those of the listening audience who do not know, tell us about Silicon Harlem. Who are you?
Silicon Harlem is really designed and developed, has been created to ensure that Upper Manhattan and other dense urban markets around the country are not being left behind, given the technology and innovation economy that's literally driving this country. And in the past, a lot of our marginalized communities like a Harlem or a Washington Heights or other areas of the city, they often are left behind because they don't have the access and exposure to information and the tools that will help them be vibrant in the economy. And having the experience that I've had, and as you mentioned, the co-founder, Bruce Lincoln, and myself, we've had sort of the access and exposure to technology driven by the idea of how it impacts the economy. And we know that it is important because it will help people go from poverty to middle class to perhaps even becoming financially independent. And so it was important for us to build a company that could foster that in these dense urban markets that are oftentimes left behind. So it was very important to, one, create a space where people can coalesce, come together, share ideas, help each other. Two was to raise the digital literacy. There's a sense of digital illiteracy, not just in urban markets, but all over the place. Most people don't even know the speed of their broadband. And it's been important for us to bring that kind of digital literacy into the community so people can then, figure out how to navigate this new economy. And third, we also believe that everyone should be connected, right? There are 40 to 50% of the homes in Upper Manhattan that don't have broadband in the home, and it's not necessarily because of access, it's because of cost. So we believe that there's a way to provide service, and that can include the incumbents and everyone else to these homes at an affordable rate without creating second-class digital citizens. In other words, they will get the same sort of great speeds and great coverage that any other household would have. And we think that's a vital, if not critical, component of ongoing life. We have kids in Harlem that have to go to a Starbucks to get their homework done on a cell phone, which is absolutely ridiculous, and there's something wrong with us when we let that happen. So we're fixing these gaps. Those, with the internet, if you're not on, you got an educational gap, you got a health gap, you have a homework gap, you have an employment gap. And we're going to close all those.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
And then just the direct access to making money, because now we're in an era where that connection can literally mean feeding your family and feeding them with customers that can be from anywhere in the globe. So I see what you're doing and your positioning in terms of being able to create a conduit for funds to flow into the community instead of out of the community, being a real fundamental key in terms of actually making a real transformation in terms of economics.
That's exactly right, and we focus on sustainability. We don't want something to happen for a couple of years. We want it to be sustainable. And when you root it in something like technology and innovation, that can be a sustainable model. That allows, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're working for a company, it gives you the sort of opportunity that moves you up. It moves your family up. And that is, we believe that people are smart. People are naturally smart. Even people in the hood, people in jail, people are smart. The issue has been, do they have the access, do they have the exposure to take advantage of their capability? And if we, in our own little way, if we can sort of provide that, at least from a tech and innovation perspective, it can open up so many doors. And just quickly, Ericsson did a really wonderful research paper on a household that goes from no broadband to broadband as defined by the FCC will increase their household income by $500 a month. Your radio station, your program, and everyone else in the country should be screaming that at the top of their lungs. You must be connected. It's absolutely an economic boon for your family. So we know that it's important to deliver that in our community.
So let's talk about the Silicon Harlem Conference, the who, what, the when, and the where real quickly.
Well, you mentioned the theme, and I want to sort of give you just a little context around that. So one of the things that we are very adamant about is to make sure that the community is getting the information, not only that everyone gets, but perhaps information that normally comes out to folks that can afford it or can have access to it, and sort of information trickles down. Well, we're trying to do a trickle up. We're saying to our community, we're going to provide you advanced technology and research information that would normally not be delivered here. It'll be delivered at some type of $2,500 conference or something. So we're providing it in this market, and we theme this year, Rethink Everything. Now, I want you to be clear. This is not everything. This is everything. Two different words. What we're saying to the community is not in the near future, frankly, everything's going to become smarter. Everything's going to become connected. Everyone will be connected, and everything will be connected, including infrastructure. Walls and streets and roofs will all become animate, right? Inanimate objects become animate. And it's important for us as a community to understand the implications of that from a job perspective, from how it's going to help our lives. Excuse me. It's very important that we are not dragging behind on this reality. So our conference this year is to bring in the best minds. That includes, in fact, policymakers like our current public advocate, Letitia James, who's going to be the Attorney General of this state, which means, as Curtis knows, every single company has to deal with the Attorney General. Yeah. So we're bringing her in to say, hey, how do we rethink relationships between the public and the private and all these other things? We've got Dr. Ellie Noem from Columbia University, who's the top mind on internet connectivity and how everything will be transformed. We've got the top minds in finance. We got the top minds in community. We have Josh Breitbart and John Farmer from Microsoft and Tej Paul from Google Cloud. We got people from all over the country that are brilliant on this issue of how everything is going to transform. We're going into what I call the world 4.0. The entire world has to be upgraded. And we don't want Harlem to be on the end of that process. We want to be in the design of the process. And that's why Rethink Everything is so important. That theme and the speakers we got coming, Gail Brewer, the Manhattan Borough President. We've got everyone you can think of that has a stake in this business, if you will, of telecommunications, sponsored by Google Cloud, Spectrum, T-Mobile. We've got people coming from all over the place that are excited about this entire conference because it gives people an opportunity to learn something and then participate. Silicon Harlem, I'll wrap up with this. Silicon Harlem, over the last year and a half, 2 years, has been able to attract over $50 million into Upper Manhattan, essentially creating what I call community as a platform. So all the advanced research that the country has to do from a telecommunications perspective is actually going to start and go on in Harlem. Never been done before. It's unprecedented. It's normally done downtown or in some other city. We've been able to coalesce the academics, Columbia, City College, NYU, Rutgers, and the public, the city, etc., and the private sector, as well as the community, to come together and say, why don't we allow Harlem to be the place to test 5G or driverless cars or robotics or all of these Internet of Things? Why not let Harlem be that place? Because it's the classic phrase. If you can do it in New York, you can do it anywhere. And my God, if you can do it in Harlem, hell, you can do it on the moon. So, we're excited about how all this activity is happening in Upper Manhattan. You got to rethink everything.
You got us excited. You got us. We're pumped up. It's like basically getting an intelligence briefing for technology and the new economy, and you don't even have to leave the neighborhood. That is amazing.
Exactly. So, exactly right, Bob.
When and where? Tell me.
So the conference is happening on October 26th, 2018. It's happening at the National Black Theater, the iconic National Black Theater on 125th and 5th Avenue. And we are going from 8:30 a.m. till 5 p.m. We have the Charles B. Rangel Awards Luncheon at 12. We have keynote speakers from all over the country. Dr. Peter Norton is an expert on urban mobility. He talks about how digital divides have been around since the beginning of time based on infrastructure and what we need to do to deal with that moving forward. We have it all. And Curtis is coming, and you're coming, Bob. We're all going to be there. It's going to be an epic moment in the history of Harlem. Okay, even Lloyd Williams is coming. Lloyd Williams is coming. Charlie Rangel is coming. We've got all the greats.
Right.
Wow.
All the elders.
You cannot miss that bad boy.
So where can people register for this event?
Best way is go to siliconharlem.net, and you will click on a button called Conference, and they can register right there. And if they're associated with the radio station, they get VIP status.
Beautiful.
Whoa.
Beautiful.
Hey.
Beautiful.
I feel like a VIP.
All right, I feel good too. So we've been here with Clayton Banks, the founder and CEO of Silicon Harlem. Much props to you and Bruce for first of all, years in the making. You guys have been digging this out and standing on the rock that says technology is the hammer that is going to bring in the change economically in Harlem. We salute you for the work. We can't wait to see what you have for us on Friday, October 26th. It is Friday, right?
Yep.
That is a Friday, October 26th. Make a weekend out of it if you're coming from out of town. Come on in and make a weekend out of it.
Right.
Exactly. And one thing that I must say, in my time that I've known Clayton, he has been the most passionate advocate for the equilibrium in particular. It's not a certain mandate. So I commend him, despite some of the challenges thrown before the brother. He's always been passionate and moving forward and straight to make it happen. Right.
In fact, we're going to
it's always not a question of if, it's a question of when. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We know this stuff is happening intuitively. Right. The question is, are we going to, if we know it, we got to do something about it. And I'm going to preempt, if I have one thing I want to try to do, which no one will ever even feel the effect, but you on this station and anyone listening will know I've said this. Let's literally preempt the next digital divide. There's been digital divides all of our lives. Let's preempt the next one, right? So one way to do that is provide people the data and information they need to know to prepare. And that's what this conference is going to do. So you may not feel it 10 years from now, but you will look back and go, wow, I have the same access and exposure everybody else. We want to create infrastructure for equity, guys, and that's what's going to happen.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you, Clayton, for joining us on Soul Lounge Primetime Show on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
My man, Clayton, you are the man.
Excellent. You guys are the men.